Hello, welcome to a late Wednesday night chat with Nick. Running a little bit late. We went out for dinner and it was just one of those dinner where the service was slow, the food was not good, ah, and it took way too long. So normally we would have been home by 7 p.m. for dinner, but we just got home about 10 minutes ago, just in time for me to fire up a cup of coffee to start my chat a little bit late. Let me set up the control room, get things situated. Been a crazy week. Anthony, two cousins are here. They have been here with us since Saturday. So it's been crazy around the house with three kids. We do this every summer. Every summer, his two cousins will come down and stay with us for 2 weeks. No, for 1 week. And this is given that this is the last week of school of summer for them. They're going back to school next week. School, believe it or not, in Florida, school start up next week. Okay, Anthony, my son's school system start in 2 weeks, so he has week and a half. So he has one extra week. But yes, school is back. Not like many places around the country where I think the school year start right after Labor Day. Not down here, not in Florida. School start really early. Mid-August is like the latest. In fact, there was a petition that wanted school to start even earlier than mid-August. So we are here Wednesday. For those that Ron Cheng, I want to spend 1,000, get more buying power on the convention or eBay. Good question, Ron. Depends. This is probably the worst answer I can give, but the best answer I can give you is depend on what you're buying. You know, I found that, if I go to a convention and I got a big stack of books, okay, if you can get yourself a big stack of books, and wheel and deal with the dealer to get 20% off the asking price, you might get a good deal there. But I found more and more dealers tend to charge way too much at conventions. I don't know about other people, but I have been fairly active at the convention scenes for many decades, and I found that over the past 10 years, prices have been way too crazy at the convention. So my answer is eBay. Okay, Ron, if you want good deals, go to eBay. If you want to look for a holy grail, do not expect deals. Okay, there is no such thing as going to a convention or even eBay and trying to find an amazing fantasy for something cheaper than fair market value. That's not going to happen. Dealers will be more willing to wheel and deal on non-keys, but when it comes down to keys, especially hot books, there is no reason for the dealers to wheel and deal with you at the convention, because the reason why certain books are hot, because there's a lot of demand for it. So if you were searching for non-hot books, sure, you can get good deals because they can't give those things away. Just like on eBay, many non-keys, low grade to mid grade, bronze or silver age are going for cheap, dirt cheap, because most people don't care about them, not anymore. ZGC 9.4 from 2008 is most definitely not the same condition as CGC 9.4. Certainly CGC, it's hard to say what kind of curve they use. They certainly are more lenient on golden age books, more so than silver age. I don't find that many leniency on silver age compared to bronze. But when it comes down to golden age, I do see a lot of grading on a curve kind of situation, as you mentioned. But yeah, well, thank you for the question, Ron. Might be not very many people today in the chat, since I am about an hour later than usual. Usually by now I am closing the chat at 8:15, but today I am running a little late, so it's gonna be a chat between 8 and 9 o'clock. For those that follow what I put out there as far as videos, no doubt you saw my review of Star Trek. I'm telling you, the news and the buzz of the Suicide Squad is not very good. Okay, so watch out. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Suicide Squad do this weekend. We could have a replay of Batman versus Superman, where the movie will open big, huge number, and then the number will fall off the cliff. The second week is words of mouth carry and say how crappy the movie is. The review has been at best mixed. Okay, at best. I think the review so far from what I saw is better than Batman versus Superman, but not glowing reports. Okay, some of the most positive comment I heard is it's a hot mess with horrible stories. Okay, the plot, the story got really bad reviews from just about everyone that I heard. The acting, people thought, the acting was solid, but the story, the plot was just garbage. Ron, your question, CGC does not follow Overstreet guideline. I don't know why people keep thinking that they do. They do not. Nobody. CGC, CBCS, PGX, Volt, you name it. None of these companies follow Overstreet guideline. Let's make it extremely clear. I don't know why people, after CGC has been around for 16 years, 16 years, yet so many people still has not grasped the fact that they do not use Overstreet guideline. It baffled me following this company for many years. If you look at Overstreet guideline, they are fairly strict with handwritings of any sorts on the covers. And why do you think CGC stray away from Overstreet? Do you think the yellow label would not exist if CGC follow Overstreet guideline? None of those. You will never see a book that is 9.8, 9.9, or 10.0 yellow label. You will never see that. But CGC abandoned many standards used by Overstreet in order to create the business that they have today. Okay, they create their own business using a different guideline, different grading standard. Is this somewhat similar in some ways? Yes, but in many ways not the same. If you sit down and read the grading standards of Overstreet and compare it to CGC slabs, you will see that in just about every grade, you can see the big differences in just about every grade. Okay, so no, it's not the same. Overspray a normal part of the comic distribution process? Absolutely, absolutely. Especially in the Bronze Age, I see more overspray in the Bronze Age than any other ages. Okay, have I seen overspray in Silver Age books? Sure, but when it comes down to Bronze, a lot of that Bronze books is common with overspray. Maybe common is not the right word, but it's not unusual to see distribution spray, because that's how mainly it has to do with how the business, how books was being distributed in the 70s. And what I can go into a long, boring explanation, but you can Google overspray comic book distribution, um, and you will likely find some good explanation about those things. So back to the movie, back to the Suicide Squad. Um, it's interesting to me that to hear the mixed reviews where most critics um, trashing the plot, the story, and the villains of the movie. But overall, they give positive reaction to the cast, as far as even the members of the Suicide Squad. There are some complaint that it's just not enough time to squeeze in the backstory to all 8 different characters. That I can understand, but overall, there was never. I have yet to hear a negative remark from critics that say Diablo is stupid or Will Smith was horrible. No, that's not the case. Seemed like the positive comments has been the acting has been solid. Will Smith did a good job. Harlequin was great. Joker was good. Blah blah blah. Like I said, so best of luck to DC on this franchise. Hopefully, the movie will do good enough that it will greenlit a sequel, and they can fix whatever deficiency they have this time around. Um, I'm not, as I have mentioned many times in the past, I'm not a fan of any of these characters. So I'm not super excited, super jazzed, super anything about this movie. I will probably go see it sometime in the next couple of weeks, but I'm not gonna waste my time going to see that movie this weekend or even next weekend. Okay, so but as far as movie, I'm very disappointed to hear that Jason Bourne is not good. I just saw Star Trek last weekend, and whew, that was a disappointment as well. And I think if anything, it highlights what I have said and brought up many times, that we are living in the golden age of television, because it seems like the best stories, the best acting, the best entertainment is on TV, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and not on a big screen. Something has changed in the way the entertainment industry has focused, as far as what they seem like all the good writers are going toward the Netflix model in order to stretch their writing skills and write more complex, more interesting characters, while in the movie they are more interested in trying to get the international market with a lot of sizzle, with a lot of actions, as much special effect as you can cram in 2 hours. But lackluster in storytelling, lackluster in character development, lackluster in plot cohesiveness. Oh, brutal. I had to say that the TV in the past 2 years has been awesome, movies in the past 2 years has been declining, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm disappointed to hear how all the movies that I want to see is not all that great. But as long as they keep pumping out good um, shows on Netflix or Amazon Prime or HBO, you name it, I'm sticking to TV, not the movies. Okay. As I mentioned many times, I'm willing to pay more money for my Netflix or Amazon Prime. Give me the good show. I would be more willing to support that medium comparing to paying 10, 12, $14 for a movie ticket. That is a waste of my 2 hours. Comic books are like oil in that they are traded in US dollar. The price guide is quoted in US dollar. It's like it or not, Ron, the majority of the collecting community is here in the US. Sure, there are collectors all over the world. In fact, I should have, maybe it's this Sunday when I do a chat, but there is a big time collector in the UK that have two, two, two copies of Action One. Okay, that he is going to do a big display, like a, I'm not sure how to say. It's not like a museum display, but he's going to display his awesome collections in some exhibit in London, I think, in the next few months. So I need to find that information and see if other UK YouTubers can attend this exhibit and do some kind of video commentary on this exhibit, because they show pictures of his collection a little bit and it's look totally awesome. Okay, totally awesome. But there are some big collectors outside the US, but the majority of the collectors, the majority are definitely in the US for sure. Auction house like Comic Connect Heritage now have firm taxation policies in effect. Taxation has always been there, though it was not policed on the net as diligently as it is today. Correct. Correct. You are absolutely correct. Up until last year, I was able to bid on heritage and not have to worry about paying taxes, which make a big difference. Okay, big difference. It's a big advantage for those that are able to bid without having to pay the 7 or 8% sales tax. It's a huge, huge advantage. Okay, in this days and age of competing in auction, trying to win something, if you have to tack on 7 or 8% sales tax, it's a huge advantage for those bidders that do not have to pay sales tax. I have mentioned this before in many chats that prior to last year, a lot of dealers would come to Florida for the weekend of the big auction at Heritage to bid, because if they are going to spend $50,000, $100,000 worth of buying inventory for their business, saving 7-8% in sales tax is a big, 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 big advantage. Okay. So yes, those days are gone. I can rest assure you, I can bet that many of those dealers are no longer visiting Florida 4 times a year to bid on heritage auction, because the advantage of not having to pay sales tax are gone. Our auction house charge a buyer fee. Uh, call it whatever you want. I have had this discussion with a lot of people over the many years. People complain that, oh, heritage charge too much fees, and at the end of the day, call it whatever you want. Buyers, whatever you pay as a bidder, part of that, whether you want to call it fees, commission, markup, part of that is what the auction house need to collect in order to run their business. It's simple business, just like eBay. No matter what you want to do, whether buy it now or run an auction, eBay will want to keep a 10%, right? Because it need to pay the bill. So Heritage can call it buy a premium or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter to me. For some people, they like to make a big deal out of Heritage buy a premium. To me, it's not a big deal. What are the best auction house? It used to be that question used to be a lot easier to answer. Okay, that question used to be easy to answer because there was a time 5, 6, 7 years ago where Heritage was a dominant player in original arts as well as golden age key books. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, you're less likely to see Comic Link being able to auction off a Detective 31 or Superman 1 or Batman 1, but slowly that has changed. Slowly, Comic Link has been able to get a lot of people to consign golden age big books to them. So these days, I don't think there is a clear cut best choice, in all honesty. I consign, if I have a big collection to sell, I would consign to all three. I will split up to all three because you never know when the right bidders will be at any one of those three. So, if it was me, I would pick all three, split up my collection on all three. But what's more important than picking the three is picking the time. Okay, picking the right time to auction off your books is more important than picking the right venue. If it's not more important, it's equally as important. Okay. Absolutely, Ron. The stronger dollar is hurting the Canadian buyers as well as UK, you name it. Strong dollars is making things very expensive for foreign buyers. So, like anything else, the strong dollar is not good for the hobby, especially when some of the bigger players are non-US players. Okay, um, you know, no doubt the back issue market and eBay has suffered because of the stronger dollar in the past few months. And if the dollar stays strong, the pound get weaker. Certainly, that will hurt the UK collectors. Same thing with the Canadian dollar. The Canadian dollar is so weak. I think in the past few years, not just this year, last year too. So it's if on the bright side, it make it cheaper for US big boys. If you are US based collectors, certainly you can go out there and likely have less competitors. People, you know, you have to compete with less. Ultimately, I haven't followed, but the pound has decreased significantly. Uh, I should look it up to see how weak the Canadian dollar is because certainly it can't be cheap for Canadian collectors to buy US stuff. Okay. Well, the best time to auction up on eBay, Ron, is the weekend. Okay. Do not end your auction during the weekday, and certainly do not end your auction before 8 p.m. Okay, if you had to do it on a weekday. Whenever I see auction that end at like 2, 3, 4 p.m. on during the weekday, that's the horrible time to end an auction on eBay. Even 10. How many people, you are less likely, you are, as a consign, if you're selling on eBay, you are hurting yourself whenever you are selling, ending your auction at the time where less people are available to bid, right? Between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m., people are busy at work, traveling, driving home from work, eating dinner, all that stuff. You just can't. When I saw an auction that ended at like 8 a.m. in the morning on a Wednesday, I'm just like, what the frack? Who would want to end an auction early morning on a Wednesday? But plenty of people do that. They don't think ahead. Absolutely. I agree, Ron. More regulation is creeping into the market, and that can eliminate cheaters and scammers, but the result is increased cost to customer. Very true words, Ron. I have to say that's one of the better things that you type in the past many chats, and I agree. It's I have said this a long time. Comic books for a long time has been a very good way to launder money. Okay, let me say this again. Comic books market have been a good way to launder money for a very long time. I mean, it's easy to buy and sell big books without reporting. Um, you know, you can still that's still going on, but more auction house are doing the right thing now. Okay, so it's not so easy to cheat. It's a good thing in the long run, but certainly the collecting the comic book market, big books are no longer a secret as far as people trying to launder money. Water stain is not a normal part of comic creation, so it can always be defined as damage. Yeah, you know, it's always a fine. Absolutely, water stain, stain of any sort is ding for the grade. But the funny thing is overspray. Okay, overspray is not part of the production process, and you can have nasty overspray. And sure, there are slight deduction, depend on how heavy the overspray is on the book, but still, um, it's not ding as hard as water. Okay, so it's bizarre how CCC have given so much allowance to overspray compared to stain. You can have an overspray spot, big spot, and it might not hurt the book at all, especially in the mid grade or even 9.0. But for the same size for the same size, same area, if that was water stain instead of overspray, the book would be dinged super hard. So that's one of those few uh, problem with CGC as far as grading standard and overspray. There is some discrepancies. Okay, for sure. Is eBay telling on me to the tax people? Not eBay, PayPal. If you sell a lot with PayPal, PayPal is sending a report to the IRS. Okay, so I believe over a certain amount of money, PayPal will issue certain tax documents. I believe the threshold is $10,000. I could be wrong. I'm sure you can ask other active sellers, but yes, not eBay, PayPal, okay? Because the PayPal is the one that handle the payment process, the collecting process. So they're the one that know how much money you sold or collect. So if anybody will tell on you, Ron, it is PayPal, not eBay. Yes, white covers are easy to press out because even the for some for for some, okay, when it come down to what can and cannot be pressed out, even on white covers, okay, when you have fiber breaking creases, all the pressing in the world will not eliminate it. It might not show in a scan, but when a professional grader or anybody, even me, when I grade a book, I hold the book up at the light, and regardless of how well a crease has been pressed out, if the paper fiber has been broken and you can see the line, it doesn't matter if it's white cover, it can hide well enough, but I will still ding the book. That's why buying, there's a couple colors that hide crease very well: yellow, green, and white. Okay, those are the three hardest color to grade and to buy raw on eBay. Whenever I buy a yellow cover, a light green covers, or a white cover, I found those three colors to be extremely difficult to spot all the flaws. I hate buying those books because often when I get the book, I see a lot more flaws than I can see from the scans. Space Boy Jordan, hello. It's just me, you, and Ron. But welcome. Yes, Space Boy, I'm running my chat late today because I ran late eating dinner. We ate out, and it was one of the not so great service and food that I had. There's nothing worse than have to wait a long time to get your food, and then the food was subpar. So it made the experience overall shitty. Does CGC differentiate grade based on age? I'm not sure I understand the question, Ron. I think, where did you eat at? I ate at Japanese restaurant. Okay, and normally in the past few weeks, I have taken a lot of pictures of the food to show on Instagram, but tonight, no pictures tonight because I just had. It was one of those things where I knew when the food would take so long to get there that it might not be good, and then when the food show up, it didn't look very good, so it was not worth snapping any pictures for Instagram. Hello, liking the covers. You made it. Robert Finnefrog, welcome. Hello. Yes, I am having a late chat tonight. Instead of 7 to 8, I'm doing 8 to 9 because I ran late eating dinner. But I hope to hear some positive comment from those that see the Suicide Squad. I am curious to see what other people will say. So far, everything that I heard from the few people that I follow has been at best mixed. I think a lot of people is giving this movie a mixed review. I'm just curious to see how the fanboys will react. There are those that would not like to hear anything negative about DC and will freak out and think that everybody is a Marvel fanboy and a DC haters. So it'd be interesting to see the reaction of the hardcore DC fanboy on this one. Alex Ginos, hello. I think that's the first time. So Nick, do you play golf very badly? I like to get better. I uh, I heard Joker and Harley was very good. They wish they were. I heard that from the few people that have watched the movie, I heard that Joker was great. People wish that there was more Joker in the movie. That's the comment I heard. That so far everything has been very positive when it comes down to Harley Quinn. Like I said, I have not heard negative comments regarding the the, the cast of the Suicide Squad. I heard negative comments with regard to the villain, with regard to the plot and the story. Okay, that's the negative thing. As far as the acting and the individual member of the Suicide Squad, I have heard mostly positive comments. Okay, sound a lot like Batman versus Superman. You know, when people talk about Wonder Woman, Ben Affleck as Batman, everything was most of everything was positive toward the characters, but people thought the plot and the pace of the Batman versus Superman was very poor. The same kind of comment, the same kind of complaint is rippling through for Suicide Squad. I shot my first 78 today. Good for you, Space Boy. I would have to add on about 20. Oh, 78, not a chance. Okay. If I shot below 100, that might be more like me. Because well, I always wear a baseball cap, you know, because my hair is like, I'm so lazy. People always ask me like, no, Nick, you know, how come you wear a hat all the time? One of my friend that I knew for many years, he's like, Nick, I thought you were losing your hair. That's why you always wear a baseball cap. And that's not the reason. You know, the reason is I'm just too lazy. On top of that, since you know I live in Florida, I go outside and it's hot as hell, and it's good to have a baseball cap to shield me from the sun. Um, I do go outside a few times a day. Hello, John, Dr. Von Schiller, showing up near the end. I'm ready to call it a night. Um, but yes, it will be very interesting to see how the comic book community react to the Suicide Squad, because you know it seems like DC just have a hard time making a good movie. And in defense of DC, I had to say that I'm not a big fanboy of Marvel movie either. I'm definitely not in the camp that say that everything Marvel did is wonderful and awesome, and everything that DC did is not so good. Au contraire, okay? For those that follow my channel and watch enough of my movie review, I think many Marvel movies are not all that great. In fact, I will put Thor 2, Iron Man 3 is garbage. Okay. So there's a lot of, you know, I'm not in a, I don't drink the Kool-Aid of Marvel and say that everything Marvel did is awesome. It's not. I wish DC put out better movies, but as I mentioned many times, Man of Steel is one of my favorite superhero movies. I like Man of Steel more than just about every single Marvel movies. Are you still doing your first appearance review videos? Alex asked. Um, Not in the near future, Alex. Okay, I have done, I think, 40 of those videos, and to be honest, I'm burnt out. So I kind of I constantly trying to come up with different ideas to do video, because ultimately for me to make videos, I have to be excited about the topics. And I don't just do it for the sake of pleasing the other people. And the first person I need to please is myself. And if I find the topic to be boring, I stop doing them. And that's why you haven't seen our first appearance videos in a long time. And I don't see anytime near that I will be making another first appearance video. Sorry. But in replacement of those videos, I do, I spotlight the book. So many times you will see me doing a spotlight on a first appearance book and show the interior of the book. And in many ways, that might be better than hearing me yap about a book and show nothing in the inside. I'm going to Baltic Comic Con for the first time. Ooh. Have you ever done cosplay? I have never done cosplay. So I don't know. I don't really, I enjoy watching people, but I just don't have any desire to dress up. And this go back to my Halloween days, even in high school. I mean, I was never a big fan of dressing up for Halloween of any sort. Okay, so cosplay is just not in my blood. It's not something that I aspire to do, but I do love to watch other people. One of the best thing I did as far as go to San Diego Comic Con was just sit there and watch all the people. I had a better time at the last Comic Con I went to in San Diego was 2010. So that's 6 years ago. And I had a better time sitting and watching all the people that walk by me with all their costumes than fighting the crowd inside the convention hall. Oh, Alex, you in Orlando? Oh man. Well, good luck. Have fun. Too bad. We are not in the. Um, we are not. If we knew ahead and plan our schedule more, we may have be able to be in Orlando at the same time and meet up with you. We live about an hour and a half away, so it's not that far of a drive. But given that school start in a week and a half, we're gonna be busy getting ready for school and not driving to Orlando and do all kind of fun stuff. Plus, we spent the last weekend away. My wife and I celebrated our 11th anniversaries last weekend. That's why there was no Sunday chat. Okay, we were away. And even though the wedding anniversary is not until 2 weeks from now, but because school start, all that stuff, we just can't travel and do it. Thus, we did the wedding anniversary celebration 2 weeks early. So that's where we were last Sunday. The Wham vids are gonna be great. Thanks, John. Maybe I can tell you, John. I can tell other people that's in the chat room right now that after I shot that video, I didn't realize how hard it is to pick another month. April 1971 is so awesome that it's going to be so hard to find anything even close to that kind of awesomeness. So, it's not going to be easy. And part of the difficulty is not that it's hard to find a month, but just because I prefer to pick a month where I have the books to show. Okay, that's part of the reason to do the video is have the books, show the book, and then ties it in with the awesome months. But when I find a month that has great books, but I don't have a lot of those books, it's kind of tough to make a video because I'm just like, oh, you know, this month have awesome books and here's a list of 10 books, but I don't have any of them. So that's the dilemma that I'm facing, is that often I find that the awesome months that I want to do, I don't have enough books in my inventory to do a video. Ron Chang asks, what is your most valuable comic book I own? Well, Ron, use your imagination. Use your imagination, my friend. If you want to, I would not say, but if you use your imagination, you might guess what I have. Cosiconic Point, Anthony, there's a dealer on eBay, fairly active, with a huge inventory of original arts. He have a big website. He has a huge presence at the conventions as well. Anthony, what's his name? Anthony Comic Art Dealers. I think that's the name of the dealer. He's on eBay. You know who knows him very well and dealt with him many times? Jimmy C, Cosiconic Point. If you know Jimmy C, contact Jimmy C, okay? And Jimmy C will help you make the connection. But I know his name is Anthony. I have seen his listing on eBay. He rarely lists his original arts on eBay. On his website, he has crazy inventories. And if you go to the conventions, he has a huge booth with crazy amount of original arts, and Jimmy C can attest to that. Okay, so it's Anthony. The name of the dealer is Anthony. Ooh, liking the cover is gonna go to Cincinnati Comic Con in September 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Night Nurse is your most valuable comic books. Believe it or not, I don't have a Night Nurse #1. I have Night Nurse #2 and 3 and 4, but I never. And I got those books when I bought a collection of somebody else. You know, I just never have the desire to pay up for a Night Nurse #1. Just can't bring myself. Cannot do it. It's never cheap enough. Darth Vader, you mean they are canceling? They are canceling Darth Vader, the comic books? That's surprising. I figure if there is a hard characters in the Star Wars universe, it would be Darth Vader, but they are canceling his comic book? Whoa. What's going on there? Maybe they need to go out with a bang and do 50, no, forget 50, 99 cover variants. I would not be surprised. Any good San Diego convention videos you recommend? Not really. I don't, seem like a lot of the San Diego Comic-Con videos I saw is mostly about cosplay. Okay, because like it or not, comic book is a very, very, very small part of the convention scenes in San Diego. So, I'm sure those that attend the San Diego Comic-Con will attest to that. Even when I was there, the crowd to the toy section, the video game section, the movie section, the TV sections are insane. Wall to wall bodies, okay? Once you get to the comic book dealer area, it's empty. Empty. I told this story many times. The last time that I went to San Diego Comic Con, I literally can go to any booth and browse through any long boxes without having to fight the crowd. That's how bad it was. And the prices were outrageous. Okay. I couldn't even bring myself to buy one book. It was awful. Awful. The prices were outrageous. Forget it. Okay. I can find better deals on eBay or just go to some of the dealers' direct website instead of wasting my time browsing through their overpriced, inflated price at the con. Carl Richardson, hello. Carl Richardson, the musician. For those that are into music, Carl Richardson is a guitar player in a band. He also sings. I have recently subscribed to Carl Richardson channel and watched some of his live concert footage. Good stuff. Welcome to the community, and welcome to start showing your comic books. Yes, I try to remember. It's not easy. I'm getting old. The memory is not all that sharp. Yes, classic iconic point. Absolutely. Do not, I can't bring myself to go to a convention. If I go to a convention today, it's more about going there to meet friends. It's a social thing. It's a social event more than a buying event. I have been to a few local cons here in Tampa, and the prices are whack. Okay, sure, paying $10, $20 for a ticket to get inside, and then $10 or $15 for parking, wasting an hour and a half of my time driving there. That's no big deal. But when you get there and everything is like whack, everything is more expensive than eBay, why the hell? Why would what? No way, no way, no way. Nick, if the dealer has a book that is high grade, would you use the eBay price as a selling point for negotiation? It's all depend, my friend. If there is a book, okay, let's use an example. Okay, if there's a book that I want and a dealer is selling it, whether it's at a convention or at the store or privately, I don't care what his asking price is. Okay, what I will do is I will look at eBay to find something equivalent to make an offer. So absolutely, I try to use the most recent sales of something similar or equivalent, even in a slab. If a dealer have a book that he think is a 9.0 raw, and I agree with his grade, then I can go to eBay, look at what a CGC 9.0 is, and then make an offer maybe $20 to $40 to $50 cheaper than eBay, at least, if not more. So I use eBay past sales extensively when it comes down to making an offer on any book, not just high grade, on any books, low grade, mid grade, you name it. I do not use the price guide. Price guide is useless to me. Okay, I can tell you, I love reading the price guide, but when it comes down to pricing, I cannot care less. I care less about what the Overstreet price guide is saying. I care what the market is willing to pay recently. Yes, John. I will be 5-0 in November. Yeah, big 5-0. The good thing is I don't feel any different compared to when I was 45. The only thing, the biggest difference at 50 compared to 45 or 40 for me is, as you notice, this is new glasses. This is bifocal. Okay, I got new glasses 2 weeks ago. This is bifocal. I can no longer. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of taking my glasses off to read things, and so the biggest difference in how I feel is, of course, the bifocal. But as far as the rest, yeah, I'm 5 pounds heavier than I was 5 years ago, but that's part of growing old. You metabolism slow down. I just had to figure out how to eat less. Ron Chang said dealers at convention are using eBay as their starting price. I don't blame them. Those are the smarter dealers. Okay, dealers that don't pay attention to what's going on are the one that Mercenat would like to buy from. Collectors like Mercenat love to find dealers that are clueless about the current market, because Mercenat would not have a big haul weekly if he does not find dealers and stores that have zero clue on what is hot. Okay, because then he won't get the bargains. He get the great bargains because he find clueless dealers and sellers that know nothing about the market. So as far as dealers using eBay as a proxy to price their books, good for them. I don't have a problem with that. I have no problem with that. That's what I call a smart dealer. The not so smart sellers on eBay are the one that put on crazy, stupid high prices, and the listings sit there for months and years and keep recycle over and over. Okay, it's insane. I'm sure if you're on eBay long enough, you have seen some listings that are asking stupid, crazy prices, and the books haven't sold in years. And the way I see it is like, I always defended those sellers. Is that as a sellers, you can price whatever you want, whatever price you want to price. It's your prerogative. Okay, but if your motive is to sell the book and to get the cash, then what the frack are you doing pricing it 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times more than the going prices? Come on. What the frack? Yeah, I said Mercenat is a good hustler. He work hard. He drive around. He does his hunting, and so good for him. Ultimately, if he's willing to do the legwork to find those deals, then it's good for him. I think a lot of people are not willing to put in the kind of work and effort that he's doing to get the books. In all honesty, a lot of people watch his videos. A lot of people wish they can find those deals, but a lot of those same people are unwilling to do the same thing, as far as like driving to 4 or 5 different store on a weekend to hunt down books. Face it, most of us are not like that. Okay. Kasikonic Point said, my LCS has a Spider-Man 300 that has been sitting for a couple of months. I was thinking of asking him to lower the price. Absolutely, you should. Absolutely. The tactful way to approach this is assuming that you know what the grade is. Let's say that Spider-Man 300 is an 8.5. If you really want that book, what I will do, assuming you have a smartphone, an iPhone, I would look at the most recent eBay sales of an equivalent book and show him, say, hey, last week a book in similar grade sold for this amount. Are you willing to sell it for a little bit less, given that you don't have to give eBay 10% of the fee? If he's reasonable, he will make the deal. Okay. Yes. But that's how I would do it, Kasikonic Point. I tried my best to be tactful when it comes down to negotiation. I have made offer on many things 20, 30, even 40% below asking price, and dealers, sellers have agreed. It's all about how you approach making a deal. If you present something reasonable and back it up with data that say that, hey, this is what the market is, would you be willing to work with me on this? Instead of saying, oh, your price are whack, you are way too expensive. Opening up with that kind of comments will not get you anywhere. The old saying, you get more with honey. Aim high is here. Well, hopefully, Kasikonic Point, you'll get your answer. Okay, bottom line is, it come back to the key point that I harp on a lot is understanding the grade. Okay, because ultimately, whatever the price that dealer your store is asking is irrelevant unless you know what the grade is. Because if you know what the grade is, then you can make a reasonable offer based on what the recent selling price is on eBay. But if you do not know the grade, or if your store is overgrading a book, that make it even more difficult. Because if your store overgrade the book and overprice the book, trying to work down is going to be very difficult. Okay, whenever you're dealing with a seller that are overgrading, it's always tougher to negotiate the price down because they are already have a different mindset. They want to gouge you as high as possible. Well, anyhow, it has been 1 hour. Unless there is another question, it's time for me to say goodbye, and much appreciate everyone for a lot of good questions. For a late chat, my appreciation for Ron Chang to pop in and ask a lot of interesting questions. Great questions. I appreciate this kind of question, Ron. So keep them coming in the future chats, because it's certainly make it easier for me to keep the chat going for an hour, answering good, interesting questions. But since I don't see any more questions, and it's 9:15 almost, time for me to enjoy the night. It's time to say goodbye. And based on my schedule, I think a Sunday chat will be on schedule. I'm not going away this Sunday like I was last Sunday. So I should be able to hold a chat on a Sunday. Who dat is here? What is your hot book people should look into buying? Last question for the night. Woo, hot books. Who that want to know what's the hot book before I go? That may, oof, a hidden gem. You want me to give you a hidden gem? um, hmm. Yikes. What time on Sunday? 11 a.m. I always run a chat around 11, between 11 and 12. You will see me there. Who that? I am stumped as far as hot books. I'm thinking, you know what's a book that I think is a hidden gem that is often forgotten for the most part? Well, not often, but is Marvel Premiere issue 16, the second appearances of Iron Fist. Everybody is going crazy on Iron Fist first appearances, and that book is getting way too expensive. Okay, so if I had to say there's a book out there that are fairly cheap and inexpensive, is his second appearances. Okay, it's not expensive. You can buy it for 10-15 bucks on eBay on any given time. Okay, so that's my hot tip for the day. I know it's not so hot, but it's the best I can give you since we are running out of hot books. But second appearance of Iron Fist is a good book to own. It's cheap. Anyhow, Carl, Eastern time. I live in Florida. Okay, so it's gonna be Eastern time. So Sunday, 11 a.m. will be the next chat. So if you can join me, and for those that want to appear live with me, just let me know. I will send the invite. I don't need to hog this screen all by myself. I will share. I'm more than happy to share. But before I go, I can't say enough. If you have not seen Stranger Things, go watch that show. It's the best thing on TV right now. Stranger Things. Go watch it. Good night. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And yes, if you can find second appearances for cheap of any characters, okay, that would be a good place to speculate. Even though I don't speculate, but for those that like to speculate, Iron Fist second appearances is very cheap. Bye. Good night, who dat? Thanks for the last question.